In this video, I tell you everything you need to know about the ADAC 2024 Sim Racing Expo. It's going to be insane. 70 exhibitors, over 200 simulators, everything you need to know whether you're at the event or at home. It's going to be unreal. Let's do this. Hey everyone, what's the crack? Lawrence here, joined with a very special guest, Alex Goldschmidt. We are going to talk about the Expo, all things Expo, why we think everybody in the world should come to the Expo. Alex, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Alex Goldschmidt. I'm the man that you normally hear shouting down microphones when it comes to our respective competitions for the Sim Racing Expo, but I'm also the head of communications, so dealing with a lot of things behind the scenes, such as press releases, media, that kind of stuff. This year, it's our 10th anniversary. We've got over 70 exhibitors from 23 different nations from the sim racing simulation technology industry. Hall 3, folks, is full to bursting point. I just can't wait to be there.
What can first time visitors expect? What should they expect? Why should they go to it?
Why should you go to it? Well, you want to find out the latest tech. You want to find out what works for you. There's opportunities whereby with 70 plus exhibitors, there is a complete and utter smorgasbord of equipment for you all to try. And the main thing is it's about finding what works for you because everyone's different within the sim racing community. It really is about sort of opening your eyes as a first time visitor. Yes, you're going to be bamboozled. You're going to walk through the doors at the north entrance at Hall 3, walk in the hall, and just go, wow.
For me, I think the Sim Racing Expo and why it's worth traveling to the Sim Racing Expo is it is probably your only chance to get hands on with equipment that you or a friend doesn't own. So you get to say, do I like this? Do I like that? You get to almost try them back to back. For a lot of people, it's the most they've ever spent on a hobby. So to be able to try this equipment and go around from booth to booth and see other people enjoying it, chat to people about it, chat to the people who make it, which is a huge thing. You do get the CEOs of the companies walking around. Everybody from sim racing is flocking to this. So even if you're not thinking of upgrading, because most people in my community who are going have no intention of upgrading anything. Now they might be tempted as the event goes on, but that's, I think, one of the big things is just that exposure to the hardware. A lot of people keep coming back to the expo. Why do you think people come back to the expo year after year? They have all the equipment, they can watch the live stream. Why do they attend in person?
One word: community. Because there are people that you talk to on a Discord server. There's so many different sim racing communities, whether it be leagues, whether it be a gathering of people. It's always an opportunity to get to see your friends in real life. And it's always great because when you have that first handshake or that first embrace with a good friend that you've got to know over the years, it is one of the most fulfilling things in the world. The social aspect is something to really be able to connect people together and to really treasure as well.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. A lot of men go. There are a lot of women there as well who sim race, but it is a mainly male dominated kind of a category or hobby. And I think one of the things that we're well known to be not very good at is, chatting about our feelings and stuff. But it's amazing when we have an excuse to get together.
Yeah.
And then we accidentally tell each other how we feel. We accidentally feel better. That's maybe not the intention. And within our community, it's actually becoming a lot more, normal. We do purposely go out of our way to say, I'm not feeling well today. I've gone through this and that in my life, or I'm dealing with this. We use sim racing as an excuse. It's a very difficult one to put into words. Last year, a lot of my community traveled for the first time. People who chat to each other almost daily in our Discord server. And I saw them meet in real life for the first time. And they just ran at each other and hugged each other. It was like they knew each other from college. It was like they, knew each other from years and years ago. When it comes to the event itself, so starts on the Friday morning, ends on the Sunday evening.
Yes. Yes.
So can you tell people what are the busy times? When would you recommend people to show up?
I think it's a case of get there early because the first hour or so is probably when you might have the opportunity to go round and have an understanding. But if you can spend that first 15, 20 minutes of getting your bearings, knowing where everything is, and go, okay, right.
Yeah.
I want to try something out from, let's say, my friends have got the Forte wheel from ADAC Sim Sports. They've got the Pagani pedals. I maybe want to give them a try.
Yeah.
The first thing you'll do, well, you can't miss ADAC Sim Sports with that Duquesne D08 LMP3 car that is the Sim Racing Expo alarm clock. It like literally gets fired up every so often.
Yeah. Are they
And
allowed to,
Andre,
are they allowed to do that this year?
I,
I know that
I don't know.
they got a little slap on the wrist, and there was that little radical as well that was starting up the engine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun.
I don't know, so I'm going to plead the fifth because I honestly don't know.
Yeah,
I think there were certain times when they could
yeah,
let the that naturally aspirated LMP3 car fire up, but then of course you've got race fuel
yeah.
in a very, very compacted area with a lot of
And
bodies
we'll
around
get to it in a moment, but our community sticker is on that car now. We sponsor that car, which is insanely cool, but we'll get to that in a moment. There is a football match on the Friday evening, so accommodation is quite difficult at this stage to get close to the Messe. What people in my community have found is that there is still accommodation, relatively affordable accommodation in the city itself, and the city itself is walking distance. But my top tip is, you know, those little scooters that you can hop on and hop
it.
off? They will get you very close to the Messe. You'll walk the last little bit because it's an exclusion zone. They don't want them littered around the football stadium. Transport is easy. Taxis are relatively easy to get. If you're anywhere near the city centre, you're near the Messe effectively. If you get your tickets beforehand, not only, I think they're slightly cheaper when you buy them online beforehand than when you're at the event. It's not there's not a big difference anyway, but you don't have to queue for your tickets. Like when you go to the event, you will be in the ticket holder queue. Now there will be a queue, but that's just people scanning your ticket. It's not like, giving, payment details and all that kind of stuff. All that is dealt with. So it means that you effectively get priority entry. And when those doors open, the moment those doors open, every single one of those 200 rigs is empty. Get in there. Get straight in there, because the first people at the rigs, the first 200 people don't need to queue. You'll get in a rig, and then you'll go somewhere else. It'll be a short queue because the people are still queuing at the door. And I would definitely echo what you said earlier, Alex. Get in there early. Make time for lunch as well. There's good food on site. There are good facilities around. And bottle of water, highly recommended. And that comfortable footwear. I learned that one the hard way the first year I went. I would also say there are some really cool rigs, some interesting rigs. One of the most interesting rigs for me is the Eau Rouge rig, which is slightly offset to one side, and it's an LMP simulator. I hope they bring it again this year. The Vario headset, VR headset, and what's cool about the offset rig is when you hit a curb on the near side, you get kind of flung. When you hit it on the offside, you feel far less. But you still feel that curve, but it makes it so much more immersive. And I love subtlety and detail like that in sim racing. If you're walking through the expo and you see people handing out beers at a stand, those beers are for you. They're not for exclusive people. They're for anybody who wants a beer. Usually around 5 o'clock in the evening. That's when the beers start coming out at the various expo stands. Afterwards, on the Friday evening, we're going across the road to Strobel's. There will be content creators there, and we're inviting community members as well. That's the initial plan right now. If that plan changes in any way, keep an eye on our social media.
I think also one top tip from me, you are going to be doing a lot of walking, so comfortable footwear is an absolute must.
And my final top tip, many people will be going to the expo with money. They want to spend money. There are some shops. If there are particular products that you want, don't wait until the Sunday evening to buy those products, because it's very, very likely that they will be sold out. There is only a limited amount of stock that can fit in people's vans, people's trucks when they're coming to the event. Every time I go to an event and someone's selling stuff and they sell out of something, they're like, I wish we had more of it, because we would have sold more of it. Companies like Fanatec, Logitech, they don't carry stock at the events. So you can't just go and buy a wheel off them. You'll have to do it online, follow the normal procedures. You don't get that instant gratification of carrying a box and seeing other sim racers be envious of you. That's a huge thing that I'd love to see more of at the expo. It's obviously a difficult thing to achieve because physical stock takes logistics, and you may have to bring it home if people aren't buying it. I would echo what you're saying. Arrive early. At a glance, even when the hall's going to be, quite full, we know there are going to be a lot of people there. At a glance, if you were to just walk around to every stand and just walk past them, easily see everything in a half an hour. As soon as you start sinking time into things, and I'm not even talking queuing, I'm just talking looking at products and, talking to people, time flies. Absolutely flies. So I would recommend for people to plan for going 2 days, because you probably won't get everything done in one day if you're, especially if you know people there. And I think that would be probably a good tip, especially if you're traveling from a little bit further away. Give yourself the time to enjoy the atmosphere. Watch some of the, the racing on the big screen. There's a lot to experience. You kind of just have to embrace it and really, I guess, dedicate yourself to the day or the 2 days that you're going to be there, or even 3 days. I mean, everybody in my community, they've got tickets for the whole weekend. This is the first year. There is a real, I don't know if you're feeling it, there's a real air of anticipation about this year. It's the 10-year anniversary. It's the first year where I've not heard people talk about, oh, I hope it's going to be busy. I hope it's going to be busy. That's what we talk about every year. This year, when I was talking to the organizers, they mentioned, well, we actually have a maximum capacity of blah, 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 and it could get interesting. Like, that is fighting talk.
Where did it all start? September 2014 on the boulevard at the Nürburgring, 11 exhibitors, and we are pushing north of 70. That just goes to show the Dortmund Messe is our base, right in the heart of Western Germany, in Nordrhein-Westphalia. And within a couple of hours, you've got a 22 million people catchment area, which is absolutely incredible. But also, I think for a lot of people, and this was some of the feedback that I got last year, that where people found it easier to get to Dortmund to, let's say, the Nürburgring, for instance, as an alternative. By having a bona fide base at the Dortmund Messe, it really means that we're able to build on what happened last year.
One thing that we both keep mentioning is the number of exhibitors. Last year, there were some major players missing. This year, I mean, we have all of that and then some. Putting you on the spot here. Are there any exhibitors that you're particularly looking forward to seeing?
Despite everything that's been going on, and it's been very, very public, I'm so pleased that Fanatec is going to be with us this year. I think also, we have Cube Controls back. We have several partners on board, including Ready Set Sim, and also there's the collaboration between, which I'm looking forward to seeing, P1 Sim and Peugeot Sport. Matt Malone is making the trek from stateside along with ADAC Sim Sports.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to Azatec. I actually had a good chat with Andre at Gamescom, Andre Eriksson, the CEO. There's something really exciting that I'm looking forward to seeing in person. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, like we have a lot of the the usual suspects, the Simi Cubes, Cube Control, Acto Racer. You have a lot of people who are just they've been at pretty much every expo. They've been there for as long as I've been going anyway. They've been hardcore supporters of it. What is really good to see is brands like Moza Racing, Camus. I'm not sure. I see them listed on the exhibitor list. I'm not sure if they have their own dedicated stands or if they're combined with a reseller. Or I think it sends out a great message when a company has their own stand and they're not going through a reseller. So one of the ones that kind of stands out to me that I would love to see have their own stand is Simagic. Even though Simagic is a dominant player, you see it at a lot of different rigs. I'd love to see Simagic there, but we have companies who know how to expo. What I mean by that is we have all these sim racing companies, the sim racing niche, and for many people, this is the first time they've ever done an expo, and there's a certain standard of expo, which is not the same as what you see at Gamescom and all that. And I'll get back to your point about Fanatec in just a moment. Now we see Moza Racing. So Moza, they know how to expo. Logitech, they know how to expo. Now we have Fanatec bought by Corsair. Corsair knows how to expo. Asetek, they're no strangers. We know they go big when it comes to expos. They know how to expo. So we've got all these other companies who are like, oh, maybe we'll get this extra thing for our setup because it's gonna just make it a little bit more on par. We see that bar raising every year. You see it as well from the cramped corners of the Nürburgring to the vast halls. Even last year, even though the exhibits were extremely impressive, there was a lot of space. And I think that people, all of these other brands, saw that space and they were like, I'll have some of that. There are lots of people there, and there's lots of space. I'll have some of that. Over 200 simulators are expected. Now, we know that that number is probably going to be even higher because some of the simulators are, off limits. They're for the eSports and all that. We are going to see a huge amount of simulators, but also, we're going to see queues for those simulators. It's going to get super, super busy, I think. One of the exhibitors that really jumped out at me, maybe because I have a recent interest in 3D printing, is Prusa. They're on the exhibitor list. I don't know what to expect, but sim racing and 3D printing really go hand in hand. So I'm delighted to see that little bit of diversity. We also have, 3D Wrap on there. 3D Wrap do a lot of 3D printed accessories, and I'm sure that almost every company, when they're prototyping, do some form of 3D printing as well. So it's cool to see the amalgamation, the kind of the overlap. There are going to be lots of new products. I've heard a lot about Thrustmaster products recently. People are excited because even though Thrustmaster maybe have taken a bit of a backseat to the Mosas, the Simagics, Camuses, people who are kind of taking over, they still have, console licenses and stuff. So there are a lot of people who are very excited, especially with everything that's going on at Fanatec. They would love to see Thrustmaster step up and take over the reins there to an extent. So they are revealing some new products. I'm not privy to any information. I'm just looking at the media, and there are lots of other companies unveiling products as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about, we've spoken a lot about hardware and exhibitors, but there is a lot more to the event. We've got a lot of esports, and esports is getting huge in sim racing, especially big events like this. Do you want to talk more about the esports side of the event?
Well, at the ADAC Sim Racing Expo, we run the ADAC Sim Sports Community Trophy and the ADAC GT500. The drivers had to go through a time trial qualification stage for both competitions. Some drivers have decided to do double duty in both, which is really, really wonderful to see. But the community trophy is a way whereby we can find these diamonds in the rough, these hidden talents that we haven't seen through community leagues, and give them a little bit of a platform. Friday, the last bit of the live stream, one of 3 full days of live streaming. We're going to have some fantastic panels as well. But then we have the famed Digital GT500, which for many years was a team-based endurance event. For the 10th anniversary, why not do something special? Okay, let's put it to adaptability. Let's give the drivers an opportunity to prove themselves. Now, what the format is, it's a dual race format for each round, but the drivers don't find out what the car and the track is until the day before. So it really puts everyone on notice, as if to say, okay, you better get your elbows out. And so far over the first 4 rounds, we've had 8 different winners from 8 different races. That's how crazy it's been. The GT500 has a total of a €5,000 prize pool, which will be separated between the top 20 finishers. And we have to say a big thank you to the team at iRacing stateside, because they actually helped to provide the servers for the time trial, which was, I think, the second highest after, I think, F4 eSports on iRacing. I think we had like about 1,600 people enter, and then through that we got the top 50 qualifiers. Those will be live for people to watch from home. We will have myself and Kieran McGinley on commentary. The community trophy finale is on the Friday evening, and then the Sunday we'll see a digital GT500 champion crowned for 2024. So those really are the esports side of things. Whether there's going to be anything else, it's a case of wait and see. Watch this space for the stage program.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm usually so busy at the expo, it's difficult to find that time. I think that we have very few excuses to not go watch the first couple of corners anyway, where there's always a lot of excitement. Do you want to tell people a little bit about the live stream for the whole event?
Well, the good thing is we have got some fantastic guests. We've got Steffi Bell from Init Esports, the F1 Content Creator Series, from Sim to DTM. Tim Heineman is going to be with us. Racing Unleashed, Conspit, amongst others. Also, Thomas Ronhar, F1 Esports driver, is going to be there. You know, it's like literally we have got a sim racing smorgasbord of fantastic panels, guests. Of course, the hosting team remains the same. Luke Crane and Mats Brand will be on site as well.
One of the highlights, of course, is going to be the Potato Nation stand. This is the first year that a community has a stand at the expo. So I'm somewhat responsible for that. It started off as a joke with the organizers, and then they were like, they were interested in, they were keen because they're trying to build community, right? Community is a big thing. Then when they started getting interested, I was like, well, we can't just show up at an expo with a banner and expect people to engage with it, expect people to like it. We're just another community, like all the other communities. There's so many great communities in sim racing. What's so special about ours that we get space amongst the Fanatechs and the Thrustmasters of the world? Why do we deserve some space? So we sponsor 8 real-life race cars. So we said, wouldn't it be super fun to bring one of our race cars? So we're bringing a race car from Ireland all the way to Germany. We're going to have it on display. Then we said, okay, well, we should bring the driver too, right? We should bring her along. So she's going to be there as well. We're bringing Kales Cole. Her car is absolutely awesome. There will not be another car like it at the event. It is tiny and fierce. A Yamaha R1 powered F1000 Formula Jedi. The thing is absolutely rapid. I'll overlay some onboard footage from her, and she's nuts as well. So it's like she is just completely crazy in a good way. She's not afraid of a move around the outside in the wet. She's exactly what you want from a racing driver. We are doing a whiskey tasting because a lot of us coming over from Ireland. Let's bring some whiskey. It's different. We're also giving away over $5,000 worth of X-Review hardware. So hardware that I've already reviewed that people are like, why is that just sitting on your shelf? Well, it's sitting on my shelf because I have other hardware in the rig now that I'm reviewing. That's why it's sitting on the shelf. But I've given in and I've said, all right, some of my best bits, I'm going to give them away at the expo. So that's going to be great. We're doing a GoFundMe as well, and that is raising money for the drivers. If people contribute to that GoFundMe, every €20 gets you a chance of winning those prizes, and we're giving those prizes away at the expo. So we will have the prizes. We're going to have them in a display case, and on Saturday and Sunday, so one slot around lunchtime, one slot later in the evening, on both days, we're going to be giving away hardware, preferably to somebody who's actually there, because I don't really want to bring it back on the plane with me. Just want to get rid of it because it's just taunting me otherwise. We're giving away lots of hardware. And then I'm launching a book as well, a children's book on sim racing. So that's going to be super fun. I hope to have a limited number of copies with me. I can ship them all around the world. There are already some orders coming in for that, and it's a super, super cool thing. Of course, we're also bringing loads of community members. So there are people coming from all over the world. There are people coming from Canada, US, all over Europe, UK and Ireland, of course. One of the guys from New Zealand is coming over. It's completely bonkers, completely crazy. The stand is going to be fun. I would love if everybody comes over, says hi, hangs out with us, hangs out with the Potato Nation crew as well. I'm super excited. We're only a handful of weeks away now.
3 weeks. 3 weeks, would you believe it? Oh, also, before I forget, Lawrence, put me down for one of the S's for Sim Racing books. I'll pick that up directly at the expo from you, mate. It's the second book launch because obviously Suelio Almeida, a man who is doing such good stuff in Radicals stateside, and he's also been running in the ADAC Prototype Cup in Germany.
Yeah, and we've partnered with Make-A-Wish. So 10% of every sale goes to Make-A-Wish International, a really, really great charity. It was important to me that their logo is on the book, that it's like, this is a real thing, this is a serious thing. We also have opportunities with the book for resellers. So if there are any resellers watching who want to stock the book, you can stock it and you can sell it through your website. You do all the distribution and stuff. I just send you a pallet of books or a box of books or however many you want. and there's an attractive margin on each one of those books as well, so that there's something in it for you.
Like we have Swillier doing his book launch, and now we've got you doing your book launch this year. Who's going to be the next one to pick up the mantle in 2025? You know,
Yeah.
so
I,
it just
I hadn't even put it's a book launch. It is definitely a book launch, but I hadn't put it anywhere on the level of Swelio and what he's doing. But thank you very much for drawing the comparison. Alex, thanks so much,
indeed.
man. It's
No
been
worries.
great. It'll be great to see you again in a couple of weeks and see all the team. I know you guys are working super hard on it. We appreciate your efforts. Yeah, I think that we're gonna show that we appreciate your efforts with a big amount of people at the expo this year. It's super exciting. Thanks so much.
No worries at all. Looking forward to seeing you all there.
Cheers.